So I've been listening to the first Game of Thrones book, which is wild because there's some bits of it, there's a lot of bits of it that are just like line for line exactly as they were in the show. But like the first book is so similar to the first season of the show. It's like there's so much stuff that's like word for word exactly the same. But then as you get through A Clash of Kings and now in A Storm of Swords, there's so much stuff that's just like minorly different. And I know when I get to the even later books, there's like whole character plot lines that are completely like not around. There's so much more of the lore in the books, and you get like all like the stories and stuff, all the stuff that got cut from the show obviously is in the books, which I've been loving, and they're so good, and they're also so funny. Like, I don't remember Game of Thrones being particularly like very funny, but there's this one line in A Clash of Kings, which is the second book. If anybody remembers in the show Game of Thrones, that part where it would probably be in season 2, where Tyrion and Cersei and Joffrey and all of like the King's people, it's when Tyrion is still the Hand. They're like going through like the streets of King's Landing, and they get attacked by a mob of people that are mad, and they're mad because they're hungry, right? This is before the Battle of the Blackwater, and they don't have any food. And there's a line where it goes like, the people were shouting Stannis and King Robb and even Renly, even though at this point Renly's dead. But then somebody shouts, "We want bread!" And the line is like, suddenly all of there was 1,000 voices took up the chant, and suddenly Joffrey and Robb and Stannis were no more, and King Bread ruled them all. I literally laughed out loud when I heard that. It's such a great line. It's obviously not a line that could be in the show because it's like the narration part, but what a great line. I am like a couple chapters away from being done with A Feast for Crows, which is the second to last book that's actually out right now. 2 of the books are still not out. But I gotta tell y'all, for anybody that has seen the show Game of Thrones, so the way the show corresponds to the books is the first book, A Game of Thrones, is the first season of Game of Thrones. The second book, A Clash of Kings, is the second season of Game of Thrones. The third book, A Storm of Swords, which is longer than the other first 2 books, it's slightly longer, it is season 3 and 4. And then A Feast for Crows, which is about as long as A Storm of Swords, right? It's longer than the first 2 books, right? Okay? You would think they would make A Feast for Crows 2 seasons. Wait for this. So, A Feast for Crows and A Dance with Dragons actually happen at the same point in time in the timeline, right? So, it's all these characters, we're only seeing what's happening to these specific characters in A Feast for Crows, and we're only seeing what happens to these specific characters in A Dance with Dragons. But they're 2 books, and they're both as long, if not longer, than A Storm of Swords, which again, they put A Storm of Swords into 2 seasons. They put all of A Feast for Crows and Dance with Dragons in 1 season of the show. So far, what I have been reading has been like almost exactly, point for point, exactly how it was adapted in the show. Almost exactly. The first two seasons especially, some stuff is like, there's plenty of stuff that's like slightly different, but now that I'm in A Feast for Crows, everything, none of this book, none of this book was in this show. Like, nothing. Like, it's some of it, like, the season 5, I think, is when the Faith Militant shows up and Cersei ends up doing her little shame thing. I'm not to the end yet. I'm sure that's gonna happen at the end. But Cersei's plotline, none of Cersei's plotline is in the show. Cersei has all these little lackeys. She has, like, a little girlfriend. Like, so much. Arya's is probably the most similar, but there's a lot of stuff that's different. Sam's stuff, entirely cut. All the stuff in Dorne, entirely cut. None of that's in the show. And so now I'm like, why would they do that? Why would they put 2 books? 2 giant books into one season of a show? Why would they do that? Sand snakes, which are the bastard daughters of Oberyn Martell, there are 8 sand snakes. And there's Arianne, who's the princess of Dorne, who's not in the show at all. And she's like a big part of this plot to get Marcella to be the queen. The whole plot to get Marcella to be the queen is gone. They like, Illyria Sand is like not in this stuff, like, in the books at all. Like, Illyria Sand hasn't showed up at all, but she's like, I remember her being in the show a lot. Neneru says 8? Question mark. I'm talking about season 5. Season 5 is they put 2 books in it. Do you have a favorite character, and does it vary between the books and the show for you? I don't know. My favorite stuff is, I really love, the thing that I love the most about the books is the show cut a lot of the really, like, magical stuff. Like, I love when when characters talk about, like, the history of, like, the city, or, like, my favorite thing is, like, the Children of the Forest. And there's a lot of stuff about the Children of the Forest. Even in the first book, they're telling stories about the Children of the Forest. And, like, I like all the magic-y stuff. I would say my favorite character, when I had only seen the show, I would have said my favorite characters are Bran and Arya. And I think they're still my favorite in general. But I also really love Mira and Jojen, the Crannogmen. I love all this with the Crannogmen. They have a castle that moves. They live in a mysterious magical swamp that can't be touched by the war. Howlin' Reed can move castles and I love that. I also love the scene, this was not in the show at all, where Sam meets up with Bran. I mean, it was kind of in the show, but, like, it was different in the show. Sam meets up with Bran and Mira and Jojen at the Night Fort. They walk through the Weirwood Gate that is like a magic tree gate. Like, the Black Gate is a magic Weirwood tree gate. That is so cool. You know who I like more in the books than I liked in the show is Cersei. And not that I really like her as a person, but her chapters in A Feast for Crows, because she hasn't been if you don't know how the books work, each chapter has a different POV character. So you're seeing that chapter from their perspective. And A Feast for Crows is the first book to have Cersei chapters. And you just get to see how crazy she is, how scheming she is, how bad she like she's wild, and it makes for great chapters. Cersei has a way better arc in the books, but she still sucks, but it's more interesting. No, exactly. Like it's not like I'm like, yeah, go Cersei. It's like, what's Cersei gonna do? This is gonna be awful. Thanks for watching this year-old Patreon stream re-upload. If you want to see the Patreon streams actually live or in full, then you can check out my Patreon because you can get access for just $1 a month. And a big thank you to Mel, or Pocket Leaves, who's editing these streams down for me so I can focus on my main channel videos. You can check out Mel's work on either their channel Pocket Leaves or Pocket Cons, and sometimes you'll even see me in their con vlogs. It's a special occurrence when it happens. But as always, if you're just watching, liking, commenting, subscribing, then you're supporting this channel too. So thank you. Bye!